Welcome to News9, and you are watching On Point, and I am Kartikeya Sharma, and we are going to talk about the Iran war. Iran war has truly become global. Iran has attacked Turkey. American submarine has sunk an Iranian frigate off the coast of Sri Lanka. There are many questions as to what the joint American and Israeli strategy is about to contain this war or to ensure they reach their political objectives on this issue. I'm very happy to announce that I'm joined by Holly Whitespan, the Consul General of Israel in Bengaluru, which is India. Thank you so much, madam, for joining me on Point.
Hi, good evening.
Thank you. Let me begin this conversation by asking you, this entire front has rapidly increased in both geography, depth, and intensity. Do you think that it may turn into some sort of a forever conflict, or will it have a closure?
So I think this war with Iran was basically, from the Israeli perspective, inevitable. Iran has been a regime that has always strived to destroy Israel. It claims that it wants to destroy Israel. So Israel basically had no choice but to start to make a preemptive move to not allow it to become a nuclear capital that would be able to actually threaten not only Israel but the world. I think that until these objectives are met, Israel has to make sure that it can protect its citizens, and this is what the objectives of the war, and this is what Israel will work for. Taking as long as it needs to take, so that we can ensure the safety of Israelis, but also ultimately of the world as a whole, because a power like Iran, a terrorist regime taking over a country, can be threatening to the whole world as a whole.
Are you surprised by the fact that the Pete Hegseth made a claim in a press conference saying that in 2024, Iranians, a covert unit, wanted to assassinate Donald Trump, and they have been able to kill the person who was in charge of that operation?
So that's where the Americans, I of course represent the Israeli government, not the American government, but I must say that nothing surprises me with this regime. We're talking about a regime that doesn't hesitate to kill its own people. We saw just a month ago how they brutally murdered protests. We're talking about tens of thousands of protesters. So nothing with this regime surprises me. It's an evil, cruel regime that has no hesitation hurting anyone in order to stay in power and to keep its terrorist agenda alive.
Madam, is it possible to dismantle IRGC, which is both part of the state and deeply rooted in the society, something like Pakistani military? It's like a feudal lord. It controls the land, it controls the economy, it's a social stakeholder, and it is also the custodian of the Islamic revolution.
So I think that this organization is again, it's the implementation of a regime that ideology is basically an evil ideology that doesn't really. You're talking about the economy of Iran. You're talking about the infrastructure of Iran. Basically, it's not an infrastructure or an economy that comes to better the Iranian people. We can see what poverty they're living in. We can see the inflation for the past years. Every month the rent there goes up hundreds of percentages because of the inflation. We can see the water situation. So we're not talking about an organization or a regime that is doing what it needs to take care of its people. So we can understand that maybe people who are living there are they're only accepting this because they're being murdered when they try to oppose it. So I think that with the right conditions, they might have the opportunity to overthrow this horrible regime with the organizations that go with it, and hopefully return to living a normal life and to being a nation like it was before 1979, a happy nation, a strong nation, a friendly nation, and hopefully we can see that happen soon. Not only from the Israeli perspective, which is of course what we strive for, but also for the Iranian people, and again, like I said, for the whole world. I think a peaceful Iran, a friendly Iran, an Iran that doesn't seek nuclear weapons or destruction of other countries is something that will help stability in the Middle East, and in turn stability in the world as a whole.
Possible to have a liberal leadership in Iran, a country whose principal slogan has been "Death to Israel, death to America," not once a "Long live Iran" or a "Better Iran," with negative nationalism and a sense of historical persecution. Do you think that is there some space for liberal, modern? I'm not using the word secular, but a modern leadership.
Absolutely, I think, and we saw this. Like I said, I think we're talking about 50 years, or almost 50 years now since this extreme regime took over the country. Before that, Iran was not an extremist country. and it was they had very Israel and Iran had very very good relations between them. So and the Iranian people are striving for this. You see the happiness that they express when they see the government symbols falling, when they see Khamenei being assassinated, killed, and taken care of, so that he can't rule this country anymore. You see how happy they are. They want this to happen, and it has been like that before. It's only the past, almost 50 years that it's like this. There's definitely room for it. It's a people that want freedom. It's a people who are very forthcoming, very open. So once they get their freedom, I'm sure they'll be, there's a lot of room for that.
Unlike Egypt, unlike Libya, unlike Algeria and other countries, we were trying to import nuclear expertise. Iran is one country where their nuclear infrastructure is very indigenous. So, my question to you, madam, is without having boots on the ground, how do you dismantle a nuclear infrastruccture where the scientists, talent, researchers, everything, technicians, they're all homegrown?
So I think that's why we saw, and I think both the Israelis and the Americans preferred a diplomatic solution. I think the best way is to, remove the will and the intent. If we can get to the situation where basically there is a new regime, a new government that comes that takes over this government, we can get a government that its priority isn't to destroy other countries. That priorities are different. The priority is to invest in Iranian people, to invest in Iran, to invest in the Iranian economy. Then they won't have the will to develop this. So basically, I think the best way would be to hurt the motivation to do this. And I think there is a lot of motivation. There should be a lot of motivation to invest in Iran, which is a very beautiful country with a very rich history and people who are amazing with amazing capabilities. So I think that would be the best way to do that.
Let me ask a question from a sociological point of view. Do you think that the dismantling of IRGC can have the same effect which de-Baathification had, which led to unleashing of ISIS and Israel getting fractured? Do you think that this dismantling of an organization which has already been declared a terrorist organization by United States of America can have other implications which the world did not foresee when de-Baathification took place, ma'am?
So I can't see the future, but from what I understand of Iran, I don't think so, because the Iranian people, first of all, they're already, we're talking about different groups within Iran, but this has been going on for years, and they were able to live like this before. And there's a lot of, you can see even the Iranian who live outside of Iran, there's already a very strong group that knows what it wants, that works together, that's been a group for years. So I think there is a possibility that we will see a more stabilized Iran in this situation. But again, I can't predict the future, but this is what I'm hoping that will happen.
Iran has attacked data centers. Iran has attacked nucleus of economic activities, hotels, where people stay, civilian infrastructure. When do you think that these countries will get back in saying that enough is enough? You can't just attack us, because Iran has attacked Bahrain, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Riyadh. Today they fired a missile on Turkey. So Jordan, Israel is under attack already. So when do you think that they're going to say enough is enough? And why is Iran attacking these economic areas which have nothing to do with war?
So the reason that they're doing it is because this is a terrorist regime. They're the terrorists who have no hesitation hurting civilians. This is and it's a country. It's not, they're heads of a very big country with an army, with the organizations helping them. So they're doing this because they are terrorists. And this is what we're seeing. And when we think about the fact, maybe people feel that enough is enough. And I'm now here in Bangalore. So in the last war in June, I was in Israel. My daughter is now in Israel. I'm awake with her every night when she's running to the bomb shelters. I know how difficult it can be. I know how scary it can be. But think how much scarier it would be if they had nuclear power. And if we don't finish this now, and if we don't make sure that they don't have that in the future, we'll be going through this again, but with nuclear weapons. And that will be really, really scary. We have to make sure that doesn't happen.
There's a fear in the world. How do you address that? One is about, madam, the exit policy, and the second is about, the mass migration that might take place, because, the IRGC has said that now there is no central command. Local leaders are fighting their own war. It might lead to exodus of people, what was witnessed in Syria, Libya, creating its own tension in Europe. These are the two questions intertwined.
So Again, I think it's very hard for me to say exactly what's going to be, and there are a lot of possibilities how this could play out. All I know is that the Israeli interest is that Israel doesn't feel threatened. Israel cannot live under a threat of elimination. We've gone through that in the past. When Israel didn't exist, with the Holocaust, we saw it when we tried to stay peaceful before October 7th, and we saw what happened when we weren't aware enough, when we weren't with our on the ball enough at that moment to see it coming, and we saw what devastation it can bring, how brutal these organizations can be. Israel can't let that happen. And so it's really a matter of seeing how things play out. But Israel cannot live with this threat. I think the world cannot live with this threat. And I very, very much hope that this will be the opportunity for Iranian people to live in a much happier country where people are not, hung on the streets, where women are allowed to be free. This is a very big opportunity for the Iranian people, and I very hope it plays out well for them as well.
There's a fear in the world, madam, that the war may escalate. It may reach new geographies and new boundaries. The world is already facing the effect of Iranians choking the Strait of Hormuz. It's leading to the fluctuation of the crude. Your comments, ma'am.
So I think, I mean, I'm sure it has some implications on the price of oil, and it has some economic implications in the region. But I think they're very short term. And again, I think that it's worth. I believe that it's worth it to make sure that this crazy power, this crazy terrorist power, doesn't have this capability to keep holding the world hostage to its crazy initiatives. And this is what's going to happen if we don't stop it now. We're stopping it. It should have been stopped years ago, but but luckily we're stopping it before we get to a situation where they have nuclear power, and then we would really be held hostage by Iran, a really crazy, crazy regime with nuclear power, with no hesitation of hurting civilians like we see happening now. And so this is why I think that the short-term effects, as painful as they might be, have to be looked at in the long term, and to see that this is basically an insurance policy for us, for us, for our children, for our grandchildren, to live in a much safer, happier world.
Will Israel go? I think this is the most intense war that the world has witnessed post 1991. Most intense in terms of West Asia. How far will Israel go? Israel is under tremendous attack. I mean, so Iran is firing ballistic missiles all over the place. Uh, where will be the exit?
Again, when Israel feels, and this is for Israel, and I remind you, this isn't just an Israel war. America, USA has its own interests, and I don't speak on their behalf. I'm sure they know to explain exactly what they want, and we've heard before the CENTCOM spokesperson. And I can say for Israel that our objective is what I explained before. We have to be able to live with no existential threat. And until this happens, and whatever it takes, Israel will make sure that it will remain safe and that the people of Israel live safely.
Because you answered this question partially. What makes you optimistic that a country that has been fed on these slogans of Islamic theocracy, fanaticism of a different scale post 1979, uh, will have some liberal moorings post war, in terms of more outgoing economy, more inclusive outlook, because it's a multi-ethnic society. Persians only account for 54%. You have Azeris, you have Baluch, you have Arabs, you have so many people of other ethnicities in Iran. It's a multi-ethnic state. You have Jews are also there, the Shias or Sunnis also live there. But what makes you think that the complexion of this state and society will change after the war, which has been fed on this idea that you need to hate America uh, to live every day? I really want to know from you, because
I'll tell you
every
why.
time
I'll tell you
you
why
have
I'm
faith in
why
Iranian people.
I'll tell you why I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic because I know that this regime, this terrorist regime, does not represent most of the Iranian people. And you see, I mean, like you said, there are Sunnis, there are Shiis, there are Christians, there are Jews, and we have countries that there are other Shia countries in the world, there are other Sunni countries in the world who are not fanatic terrorists, and so it's possible to have all religions live together without being fanatic terrorists. The fact that there are many different denominations, there are many different people living there, doesn't mean that it has to be a crazy fanatic regime. And I don't think it represents the people. It doesn't represent most of the people living there. So I think that when the regime goes and we get new leadership, the people themselves people want to live to be more open to the West. They want to be more in contact with the West of the world. I think they want what most people in the world want, to live a good life, to have a good life for their children. That's what we all want in the end. That's except for crazy terrorists like the heads of the Iranian regime.
And my last question, madam, before I let go of you, now it's there in open that the Iranian submarine had been sunk off the coast of Sri Lanka, and in the press conference has been claimed that the U.S. submarine has done it. The entire war zone has now started to incorporate Indian Ocean. It makes other nations also very, very worried. The war has expanded.
Mm. Yeah. So again, I think that I can understand that, and we have to see how it works out. But I think it's much better that it happens now before Iran is a nuclear power. To want to stop it in the short term is short-sighted. If you do that, you're not thinking of your children, you're not thinking of your grandchildren, you're just thinking of today, and that's a dangerous thought. People have to be able to look way beyond right now to understand why it's important to stop this, even though it gets a little bit uncomfortable.
Thank you so much, and I really hope and pray that your family back home at Israel is safe. It remains safe. That's all I have to say at the end of it. And thank you for joining me for this candid and honest conversation. Thank you so much. So,
Thank you.
to my viewers on News 9, so this was Orly Weitzman, the Consul General of Israel in India, in Bangalore, having a very candid conversation about the priorities of Israel, why it was important for Israel to go out and get the IRGC, and she does not use the word Iranian people, IRGC, who are about to materialize or make the nuclear bomb. So this is all I had in the first part of the on point.